Peasant Productions presents The Math of ESP, why it works even if you don't believe in it. Okay, I did a little tap session with my drum. I played around being silly, but I talked about the fact that it's a drum made by me. All the decorations on it are by me. All the carving of the wood, all the figuring it out, making it sound like it should sound, all the tuning of it, pretty much everything involved in it is figured out by me. I mean, I went and looked at other drums and things like that, but my situation was such that while I had somebody walk up, I mean, I even walked out to my pile of firewood and picked out the piece of wood I was going to carve, okay? I had no idea what I would find, but, you know, it was just a piece of firewood. It was covered in bark. I didn't know what was underneath the bark and, you know, all that. But I liked what I saw for the shape, and I went ahead, kind of like Rodin or Michelangelo. I walked up to a chunk of rock and I cut out what I saw inside. In my case, I walked up to a piece of firewood. I cut out the drum that was inside of it. Created by me, built by me, played by me, you know, my thing. I've not taken any drumming lessons. I don't have any drum circles that I've ever belonged to. I've gone to I think one drum circle, and that's it. I took my son Benjamin to a drum circle once a very long time ago, and we used the drums that they had there. This drum was built after my son was around. I'm sorry, after my son was taken from me and no longer around to see it. He's never had the pleasure of tapping on it. He's never had the pleasure of playing it. He's never had the pleasure of sitting with me and hearing me play it. You know, silly old dad being silly for his kid type of a thing has never been there for my son. And based on what, as a whistleblower, I know, chances are he will never have that chance. He will never get to be near me. Somebody in the United States government or the family will at least ridicule him for wanting to love his father. The thing that I'm trying to point out here is that if you look at Native American, South American, Aborigine Australia, you know, all of the various different groups of First Nations of the 6 continents, all of them kind of stress the idea that you kind of built your own ceremonial stuff. You might get help from somebody, yes, but you put the time and effort into collecting the feathers, the skins, the seeds, the rocks, the beads, you know, whatever it took. You put things together yourself because it had your heart, your energy, your being, your soul connected to it, okay? Churches don't really like that. Biggest reason, of course, being is it's very hard to sell souvenirs if you go out and build your own souvenir, okay? When you, like I said, I'm in a town that, you know, the big church here in town claims that the doll that it has up in the, you know, the glass box or whatever, so everybody can see it, but it's well protected. That doll came from Europe. That doll was shipped from Italy or wherever, and that's what brought the saint here. They don't allow anyone to understand that the Santos Lucy, as I know it, the Santos La Señorita de los Lagos, de San Juan de los Lagos, I got a long freaking name, um, was an entity on this continent long before that church ever arrived. Okay, whether or not that entity had anything to do with the original story and everything, is again just something that you have to go back and decide for yourself. It happened in 1632. It has nothing but the church itself behind the story. They're the only ones that hold the artifacts. They're the only ones that have records of it. They're the only ones that talk about it. They're the only facts you're going to get. So it is, if nothing else, it is going to be slanted for them. Okay. The thing is that the people here in this town, they don't believe in that saint. They believe in selling artifacts. They believe in selling souvenirs. They believe in getting dinero from anybody, any way, any shape or form they can. Why? Because their church does that. And their church doesn't care if you beg, borrow, or steal for somebody else, as long as they get their 10%. Okay? So, buying an artifact from somebody around town that is one of 100 people that are selling the same object means you're not getting anything that's in any way sacred. You're not doing anything that is in any way energy motivational to actually being sacred. You might feel it in yourself that you are connecting because you got this from here and all of that, okay? But the objects themselves, the people that are selling it, the church itself, they don't care. A year and a half ago, I walked into the church and I let them know that I'm here and I hear their saint. They don't come talk to me. They don't want to know. They don't want anybody upsetting their situation, especially somebody that does not belong to any religion. Therefore, I am not going to praise them for telling a false story. But, needless to say, if you came here and you got a piece of wood and you carved it into, an object of worship, I mean, even if you carved it into a cross and took that home with you, there would be more sacredness to that than buying one of these crosses around town. Okay? The people just sell, I mean, literally, they sell costume jewelry stuff, and they want you to believe that, oh, it's the most wonderfulest thing, it's been blessed by the saint, and it comes from this town, and who knows where it's made. I don't know if it's made here in Mexico or elsewhere. I've never seen anybody shipping boxes on anything, but I know that there are probably a couple hundred people walking around with a handful of chains in their hands with crosses and silver balls and pictures of various church personnel and various things like that, and each one of them's going to tell you that theirs is special. Each one of them is going to be afraid for you to look at what they have in their hand and walk over 10 feet and look at what that guy over there's got in his jewelry box too, and see that, hey, he's selling the same stuff you're selling. How can it be better? How can it be different? Okay, so stop and think about that. Think about how in the pilgrimages and stuff, people used to walk and go through arduous, things to get there, and then it became the 12 stations of Christ. Okay, what are you doing? You're following the same set of patterns anybody else does, and I'm pretty certain if you walk around the church here in town, there's several different places on the outside of the church that have numbers or something like that. I forget exactly. I think I've seen one or two Station of Christ type things here in town, but I don't look for them, so I can't verify that at the moment. Before, long before any of that, when you had the native, the First Nations of the 6 continents, there was an awful lot more effort put into making your own thing because you personally want to talk to the Spirit. Okay? Churches don't want you to. Buddhism doesn't want you to. Christianity doesn't want you to. Catholicism, Muslims, Jews, Shintos, doesn't matter. They all want you to go to that church and put tithing in. Buddhists got their little begging bowls. They got the donation bowls all over the place, okay? They want you to pay them for you having something, for you connecting somewhere, because they're going to connect you. What's the reality of it? Okay? The reality of it is right here in this book. It's called Revelations. The human race will be so actively participating in physical, materialistic wealth attitudes. You will be so concerned about your materialism and your physical objects and your physical body and all of that, that you will literally turn your back on the spiritual realm. That's why it says in here in Revelations that only a very, 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 very minute amount of the population, and especially those that believe in this book, will actually have a spiritual connection and will actually go on. I mean, you're all going to go on. Don't worry. There's no hell. Like I say, you hate yourself enough, i.e., like my ex-wife. She hates life to the point where she might create a hell for herself and go spend a little bit of time in her own little hell universe. But the majority of you will die, and you will be reborn someplace else, somewhere else. There is not going to be any heaven, and something to think about when you talk about heaven, folks. Okay. There's roughly 300 million Christian Catholics in the world. And if you walk into any one church, anywhere on this planet, and you started actually examining what each person thinks heaven is, okay, each one is going to be just a little bit different, which means that Dad is going to one heaven and Mom is going to another one. Okay? 300 million different heavens. You do not all go to the same place because you do not all believe in the same place. Okay? There is no one heaven. You are like the scientist who says that I have only instruments that can tell about this one physical universe that we live in and the three-dimensionality of this one planet Earth. Therefore, there is nothing else in existence. There can never be anything else in existence because I can't find it. I don't know how to see it. Excuse me, you just limited existence by your lack of knowledge, by your lack of acceptance that something else can exist, by your lack of willingness to look somewhere beyond what your tools are. If you won't look beyond whatever your religious book is, be it a Bible, a Quran, the Torah, the Shinto writings, the Buddhist writings, the Hindu writings, whatever, if you won't look beyond those at what else is going on, then you're not spiritual. You're not connected to the spiritual. If you can't see the similarity across all of them, the similarity of behavior, you're not spiritual. Okay? So, Make your own objects, reach into your own heart, put your own self into being spiritual and connecting.